Are you tired of saggy, soggy fries? Well, don't move. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein, and I've got the answer to your fry fret fuss today on SoFlo Taste.
This is South Florida. It's where I live and work. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. South Florida is more than sun, sand, and sea. It's a lifestyle of fashion, sound, culture, and of course, food. Food with taste from all over the world. Join me as we celebrate the food of South Florida
And the people who love it.
Join me as we experience SoFlo Taste.
Good morning and welcome to SoFlo Taste. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Today I'm all about the French fry, which by the way, was invented in Belgium. I guess French fry is more alliterative than Belgian fry, Brussels fry, or Antwerp fry. So today I thought it would be fun to show you one of the best things that can happen to a potato. So let's get cooking. We're actually starting off with sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are one of the hardest good fries to make. We're going to bake them in the oven and give them great flavor. They cook a little longer than most fries would in the oven, and it's probably because they have less starch and obviously more glucose than other potatoes. So I like to keep the peel on, and I'm just gonna slide down the knife, let the knife do most of the work. And I'm not cutting them too thick, but I'm also not cutting them too thin. And then we're gonna just cut them nice and long. So depending on how you cut a fry, it changes the amount of cook time. It also can change the way that you actually cook, the cooking process of the French fry. And I thought it would be really interesting to show you how a different size of a potato can totally change the way that we are cooking it today. I'm gonna just put them onto a sheet pan that has some parchment paper on to not only protect the potato, but it's also protecting the pan so we don't have stickage afterward. I'm going to season the potatoes before I cook them as well. I thought it would be kind of cool to season them in a ranch dressing flavor rather than dipping them into ranch dressing. A little bit of oil. I'm using olive oil. And then the typical ranch dressing flavors. Now I'm not using any fresh herbs because that will burn pretty fast, but I'm gonna use a lot of dried spices and herbs. So I'm gonna start with kosher salt, a little bit of ground black pepper. So I have dried dill, dried parsley, dried tarragon, and dried chive. Garlic powder and onion powder. You know, it's really important to keep your spices fresh and in a really nice, not hot, but room temperature place that is dark. The dark is a really big one. And you know, I actually had a spice cabinet on top of my stove for a while, and I didn't realize that I was really hurting my spices. So it's always important to keep them in a place that's really dry, a little bit on the cooler side of room temperature, and again, dark. It's a big deal. And then always kind of check your spices, smell them. That's the best way to know if they're nice and fresh. All right, so arrange these in a way that they're not touching each other too much, and don't ever cook too many at one time, or these will never turn out nicely. I'm going into a 400-degree oven. Come right back. I have a special guest I can't wait for y'all to meet, and a lot to teach you about potatoes.
SoFlo Taste will return right after this.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. Joining me now is Mayor Sandra Welch of Coconut Creek. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for being here in Coconut Creek. We love it. We love your shows and we love you.
Well, I have a feeling they really love you. I've heard that you are an incredible mayor and you are an amazing person. It's the second time I get to meet you, and I feel just very honored. Thank you.
Well, I do love what I do.
Thank you. I bet you do. You know, it shows. It really shows when people love what they do. I think it's so important. So just so you all know, I pulled the sheet pan out. I flipped all of the French fries over using a trusty spatula, And so now we have another 15 minutes. These sweet potato fries take a good 25 minutes to cook. So while they're in there, how do you become a mayor? Can I just ask you that question?
It's a very good question, and in our city it's a little unique. We're not elected. We call it the floating hat. From one year to the next, we vote amongst each of us 5 commissioners who's going to represent the city and the board as a whole that next year.
So it's only a 1-year position?
Only a 1-year position. So
you can't get
No, and you can't succeed yourself, so you got to do it good
Can you
while
come
you
back
can.
later?
You can. You can if you do a good job. So I've been in office 6 years, and this year was my year to be at the helm. So to me, it's just an opportunity to spread the word about what we need to do.
Sure.
And maybe do better.
Yeah. And you do a lot with JA World, don't you?
I do, because it's at the end of our education corridor, and it's our jewel, and we've just had a celebration.
I know, I heard. Please tell everybody about it. Congratulations to JA and to you and to everyone, and the kids especially.
Well, it wasn't me, but we have a JA Fellows program where for high schoolers, and they get to start their own company and have a Spark Tank finale, and 2 of our teams got to go to the Washington, D.C. competition, and guess what? One of them came in second out of 700 teams across the country. I mean, we're doing a happy dance.
Incredible.
And this is their product, Pure Serenity. I think you're sensitive, so I don't want to, it has different essential oils.
Okay.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School
Can I?
Students came up with it.
Oh, but that's lovely.
Lasts for 3 days, and it was because it would help calm those suffering from PTSD during fire drills.
The kids from that school are just incredible.
They're so resilient.
Yeah, amazing. So moving on, how do you like French fries?
About any
A little
way,
bit of a lighter topic.
I do like French fries any way, in any shape, and any size.
That's great. You do love food.
I do.
You and I have
I am an
conversed
eater.
food before. I love that. So I'm going to actually have you make a horseradish sauce, and because it is dear to your heart, right?
Yep. My mom loved to grind the fresh horseradish, so
Lovely.
this is for Mom.
So we have mayonnaise and sour cream.
Okay.
We have prepared horseradish, because I personally think prepared horseradish gives a stronger flavor because of the vinegar it sits in than fresh horseradish, even though I used fresh horseradish to finish things. You've got some fresh sliced chives, salt, and freshly ground pepper once you grind it. So I personally would do equal parts of mayo to sour cream, and then I would do about 1/3 of that of horseradish.
Okay. And then finish off with the...
Salt, pepper, and all that chive.
Okay.
So go ahead into this bowl. Go for it. You can make as much or as little. It's really just you and I and all these boys in front of us.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and check out our French fry because it looks like we're getting some nice color here. So I want y'all to see it. So we're getting nice and golden. It needs about another minute. I'm going to put it back in and keep going. Okay. So the next fry I wanted to show you is the steak fry, and it's basically just a wedge. You might have seen them bigger or smaller, but the one thing I will teach you today that you need to do if you're going to make fresh fries at home is to soak your French fry. You're not trying to wash out the starch from the potato. You're washing off the excess starch on the outside that's between the peel and the flesh. That's the most important thing. So ice water, cold water, stick it in your fridge, leave it there overnight or even for 48 hours. Really, really important. It washes out the excess starch, not the inside starch. After that, drain it in colander, let them dry. Really important. Not like bone dry, but dry them off. That way when we put them in the oil, we don't have a big splash, okay? So I have 2 pots of oil here. The first pot is the first cook on the fry. And if you want great fries, 2 things you gotta do: soak and par fry. And what the 275-degree fry does is cook the fry or the potato all the way through. They will be soggy, they will not be delicious, but it will be cooked all the way through. Once they're cooked all the way through, we will put them into a 350 to 360-degree oil, and that will make them crispy. A lot of information. Come back. We'll go from the one fry to the next fry. We're going to pull out our sweet potatoes. I'm going to taste her horseradish sauce. So come right back, please. You're watching SoFlo Taste, proving you have good taste. Welcome to the French Fry Show, and of course with Madam Mayor Sandra Welch. Thank you again for being here. All right, so the sweet potato fries are done. Madam Mayor, I want you to try these, but not until I put them on a plate. Your horseradish sauce came out beautifully. If you want to give it a quick mix and then pour that right into that beautiful little red bowl you have in front of you. And I'm going to serve. So I don't really feel like I need to do anything else to these. They have great spice on them. I'm going to go right into a little serving dish. And they're not greasy at all. So I would put the serving dish right on the side of this, right there, and show the whole world what that looks like if you want to present that to them. And then I'm going to keep going.
Sorry you can't taste it.
All right, the next potato I wanted to teach y'all. I want to make sure it's okay. It's good? It's hot, but it's good? Okay, good. So the next potato, I wanted to show y'all a quick one. These are shoestring potatoes, and they call them that for obvious reasons. They are the size of a small shoestring. And again, soaking essential. This is the most important part. The great thing about shoestring potatoes is that you do not have to par fry them because they're so thin, they actually get crispy really quickly. So I'm going to teach you a little trick. We're going to go into a nice hot oil. This oil is set at 300 and hopefully still 350 degrees. Okay, once you put the fries in, at the same time, I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary. And what it does is, because you're adding it to the oil, it actually brings out even more of the flavor of the rosemary. The oil, the hot oil reacts with the rosemary, and it's, I love that. Oh, it's delicious. And it makes it a little bit crispy. So as you fry the potato and they get crispy, so does the rosemary. So it's just delicious. Don't go overboard though, because too much rosemary is never a good thing.
You know me.
I think I'm learning a little bit about you. Let's take a look at how our steak fries are doing. So you see how it's becoming a little bit more translucent? So that's when you know that they've cooked. I hate to break it, but see how it's just breaks right open. So there's no color, right? No. There's no color on them. However, they're nice and soft. So we know that they're ready to come up out of the oil. And as soon as we're done with the shoestring fries, I'll come back and fry these really nice and crispy. Because they're so big, I think I might raise my oil, however, to 360, where I'm cooking the shoestring fry at 350. So I'm just going to let these cool. Now you can do this part way ahead of time. You can do this 48 hours. You can throw these in a freezer and keep them bagged for months. And then when your guests arrive, you can put them in hot oil and they're ready. And that's what we do in restaurants. The little tricks, right?
I like it.
That we do in restaurants. So, by the way, we are in JA World, and I always like to tell people for more information about this incredible place, go to jasouthflorida.org or call 954-979-7100. All right, so these are almost ready. Mayor, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us before we finish off with our shoestring fries?
Just that you are in butterfly capital of the world, Coconut Creek.
Okay.
That was our official logo as of 2002, and we celebrate it with the Butterfly Festival on the date of our anniversary of us being a city in February of every year. So
why? Do we have more butterflies than anywhere else?
We try to be very cognizant about supplying the right type of plants for those that are migrating, and encouraging the proper route for all of our migrating monarchs that come from the other countries and pass through us.
They have a lot of traveling.
Yes, they do.
Those monarchs travel more than anything I've ever. I can't even believe that their lifespan is such that they can do that.
And we just need to do what we can to make sure that it stays that way. So that's what Coconut Creek is doing.
Well, that's amazing, and what a beautiful thing to be, a butterfly capital of the world. I never knew that. Yeah. That's wonderful. When did that become a thing?
2002.
Okay.
And it is the official, and we do have Butterfly World here, even though it's not a part of the city, it's certainly in our city. So
sure.
To educate and bring awareness to everyone, not just Coconut Creek.
And how about JA? Do you do a lot of events here? at JA?
We do, and we try to bring members of the community to come here and volunteer because, you know, it takes a village. You have a nonprofit, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have enough, never have enough paid staff, so you have to reinforce it with volunteers. So I try to bring groups of people here to let them know what goes on and do what we can to make them successful.
Well, I personally want to thank you for everything that you do for our community.
Thank you.
You're a wonderful mayor to have, and I hope you come back.
We love what you do, too.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everybody, come right back. We're going to refry our steak potatoes, and I'm going to show you another dipping sauce that might, I don't know if it'll beat this one, but it might be in the running for one of the best dipping sauces we can do for fries. So thank you, Mayor, so much for being here.
Thank you, dear.
You're the best.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless.
Mwah. Thank you. You're watching SoFlo Taste, the #1 food show in all of South Florida. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste and my You'll Want Fries with That show. These recipes and all my recipes are always available online at SoFloTaste.com. All right, so let's refry these steak fries, shall we? They're beautifully soft and tender, and they're going into a 360-degree oil. And I'm going one by one for a reason. So make sure whenever you add things into oil, you always go kind of that way, never this way. Do you know what I mean? So always add it in delicately, or even better, this is a spider, and we chefs love spiders. Very softly add anything that gets into a deep oil with a spider, so you can delicately add it in so that you will never cause a splatter. These will cook until they turn golden, which could mean a minute, and it could mean 2.5 minutes, so we'll leave that be. Look how beautifully my shoestring potatoes came out. They have a slight golden hue. They're crunchy, and the rosemary is also crunchy. And I'll put that into a serving bowl. Make sure you season it with a little bit of kosher salt or a fine sea salt. So next I'm going to show you a kind of a sriracha dipping sauce, like an aioli, which is delicious, and it kind of rivals that horseradish sauce that the mayor made, but both are equally delicious. All right, so I'm going to keep this pan nearby because these steak fries are almost ready. I think they have about 40 seconds. So to make the aioli, I'm going to add a little bit of chopped or minced garlic, some Dijon mustard, a little bit of brown sugar, a little sriracha, or if you hate sriracha, you can use some kind of another chili paste that you do like, maybe gochujang, depends on, you know, your thing. I always keep water nearby just in case my aioli gets a little bit too thick. And a little bit of sesame oil will begin the mayonnaise process, and it'll also add flavor, but we are thickening the mayonnaise with just a kind of a flavorless oil like a grapeseed or a canola. Let's take a look at our steak fries. Yes, we are ready. They're beautifully golden and crunchy. Ah, God, they're so good. Of course, you can always dip just in ketchup. I know that that would be a lot easier, but you've worked so hard, you might as well give it something a little more special. But I do love fries with my ketchup. All right, so a little bit of salt, of course, and there you have it. So let's finish up this aioli really quickly. I'm going to put a little napkin underneath or towel underneath my bowl so it doesn't move, and I'm going to start adding flavorless oil, like I said, grapeseed or canola, until you have a mayonnaise, and it gets a little thick. Add a little bit of water. If it's too thin, keep adding oil. But we're actually there. Add a little bit of salt. But be careful because sriracha does have a little bit of salt in it. And there you have it, another delicious dipping sauce for your French fries. And aren't fries fabulous? And they're so much better with the recipes and tips I've given you today. They're the kind of fries you'd be happy to find wedged into the back seat of your car like I do on a weekly basis. Thank you, Mayor Sandra Welch of Coconut Creek, for helping me in the kitchen today. We love doing SoFlo Taste in your town. And thank you at home for joining me today too. Next week it's In the Bag. I'm cooking in a bag, or en papillote. It's a way of steaming food while enclosed in some sort of a wrapper. And I'll bet you'll be surprised at what all you can make using this method. So join me then. Now let's check in with design expert Martin Amado. Good morning, Martin.
Hi Michelle, take a look at the views behind me. I think this would be considered a dream home for many, right? Well, coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we tour an amazing waterfront home on Fort Lauderdale's Intercoastal, considered the Venice of America.
Thanks, Martin. We'll be watching. So taste buds, have a great week, and I'll see you here next week for Cooking in a Bag. Goodbye and good taste. They're so cripsy.